Yo.
So you guys may or may not have heard, but China actually is trying to outright ban cryptocurrencies. As of right now, they're banning cryptocurrencies from financial institutions, and they're no longer allowing them to accept cryptocurrency as a form of payment. Now, I know this probably doesn't sound like a big deal, especially if you guys aren't in the crypto space and you're not aware of how this all works. But just to give you a quick rundown, China is actually a big supplier of mining, and they put out a big supply of the cryptocurrency that we have in the markets today. I'm going to go over exactly what the numbers are for the amount of miners that they have over in China as compared to other countries. But basically, you should know that with China banning cryptocurrencies, especially from these financial institutions, the miners over in China are not going to have as much of a reason to mine Bitcoin if they're not able to use it at some point in the future. So I'm going to go over how that's going to affect people in other countries, not only in China, and how that could affect Bitcoin's price going forward. But before we actually get into all that content, for those of you who are new here, my name is Evan, and I show you guys different ways of making money. So if that interests you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss when I upload. Also, if you guys wouldn't mind going down and hitting the like button, I would really appreciate it, and it lets me know that you guys enjoy these video updates. But with that out of the way, if we actually take a look at Bitcoin's price today, and we're also going to touch on Ethereum, but you can see that Bitcoin, right around this area, they pulled all the way back to about $30,000. And the last time we saw 30,000 was all the way back in January. So they're hitting lows after their all-time highs in April. They're hitting lows that we haven't seen since January. Now, obviously, they just touched this for a brief amount of time. And right now they're right around 40,000, and it seems like they may consolidate around this area, seeing as though there was past resistance. And so they could be using this point as support. But I don't think too many people were figuring that Bitcoin was going to break below 43,000, let alone 40,000, and drop all the way back down to 30,000, even though it was for a brief amount of time. So I think it's pretty clear that we do have some pretty strong support around this $30,000 area, especially seeing as though Bitcoin pulled all the way back to 30,000, but they didn't continue dropping. So it definitely looks like that support line is pretty strong. And if we do continue seeing Bitcoin pull back, they're probably only going to pull back to 30,000. Now I say only 30,000 like that's not a huge pullback, but if you guys have been holding Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency for any extended period of time, you know that these cryptocurrencies can pull back 40, 50, and 60% in a matter of weeks. And so that's just the gamble you take with holding these kinds of investments. Now, if we actually move over to Ethereum, you can see that the chart actually looks pretty similar. And I think this is kind of expected because a lot of people, when they buy Bitcoin, they're usually buying Ethereum too. And Ethereum is actually second biggest right after Bitcoin. And so it does follow a pretty similar trend. Now, you guys probably are aware that Ethereum actually shot up pretty huge in the last month or so. Going back to April 21st here, they were trading right around 23 to 2400, and then within the coming weeks, they went up to a high of about 4300. So I think with Ethereum, not only is it pressure from them shooting up so high, and a pullback was kind of expected, but with the pressure from Bitcoin also pulling back, and with the news about China no longer accepting cryptocurrencies, I think it makes more sense that Ethereum pulled back even though they were trading about 43 to 4400. To see them pull back to these previous support lines right around $2,000, and even though they did dip down slightly below that to about 1900 for a brief period, I think there's pretty strong support right around 2000. And if they do continue pulling back, just like Bitcoin, I think they're going to have a pretty strong support right around 2000, and they'll probably consolidate there for a while if they don't hold this consolidation right around 2800. But like I mentioned in the beginning, the reason why cryptos are all crashing today is mostly due to China outright banning these cryptocurrencies. They basically told their financial institutions that they can no longer accept cryptocurrencies as a form of payment, and this also affects registration, trading, and settlement as well. Basically, China has made it so their citizens can continue holding cryptocurrencies, but they can't do much else besides just hold it. They're not going to be able to use it to purchase anything, and it doesn't look like this is going to get any better in the future. So like I mentioned earlier, the people who are mining cryptocurrency, they really have no reason to mine it anymore. Now, I don't think the mining over in China is just going to die all of a sudden, but I think there's going to be a drastic drop off in the amount of people who are mining right now as compared to what's going to be in the coming months, especially if China really does crack down hard on cryptocurrencies and they don't let any financial institutions accept it as payment. And Bitcoin's not the only one taking a beating today either, because several other cryptocurrencies are also plummeting alongside Bitcoin because of this China ban news. This also includes Ethereum, like we looked at, which has fallen about 37.1%, and Dogecoin actually dropped over 35% in the last 24 hours. Now, I didn't show you guys the Dogecoin chart, but just keep in mind that Dogecoin really doesn't have a whole lot of support, and if they don't find support around 20 cents, they could fall all the way back down to 5 cents. And that's because they shot up so quickly, they really didn't have time to form any support or resistance lines on the way up when they shot all the way up between 60 and 70 cents. So that's something to keep in mind for those people who are invested in Dogecoin solely. If you don't own any other big altcoins or anything like Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're going to be in for a pretty rough ride because Dogecoin, like I said, doesn't have a lot of support and resistance. And the really strong support is all the way down at about 5 cents. But aside from Dogecoin dropping, getting back to China actually banning cryptocurrencies and not allowing financial institutions to accept it as payment, I want to give you guys some more details on what this really entails and how this could affect cryptocurrencies going forward. And so under the current ban, institutions including banks and online payment channels must not offer clients any service involving cryptocurrency, and this includes registration, trading, and clearing and settlement. So the only good news that really comes out of this is that even though they ban crypto exchanges and initial coin offerings, they have yet to bar out individuals from holding cryptocurrencies. So that may be a driving factor that's going to allow more people to continue mining over in China. But that depends on how long this is going to last, because China really could just remove the ability for individuals to hold cryptocurrencies. And if that were the case, I don't think we would see any sort of mining happening from China. And so that would really affect the amount of Bitcoin that we're getting from these miners, because China actually makes up a huge portion of the mining. And if you take out such a significant player in this type of game, it's going to have drastic effects, not only on Bitcoin, but it's going to trickle over to a lot of other cryptocurrencies as well. But this wasn't the first time that we've seen implementations from China and them trying to remove cryptocurrencies, because actually Beijing was the first one to do something about digital currencies. And back in 2017, China shut down their local cryptocurrency exchanges, and they ended up smothering a speculative market that had accounted for about 90% of the global Bitcoin trading. Then fast forward to June of 2019, and the People's Bank of China issued a statement saying it would block access to all domestic and foreign cryptocurrency exchanges and initial coin offering websites, basically aiming to clamp down on all cryptocurrency trading with a ban on foreign exchanges. And the statement also highlighted the risks of cryptocurrency trading, saying virtual currencies are not supported by real value and their prices are easily manipulated, and trading contracts are not protected by Chinese law. Now, if you ask me, that sounds like any other currency right now, because the dollar isn't backed by any sort of gold standard anymore, and we know that the price can just be manipulated and more dollars can be printed like we've been seeing for the past few months. So in my opinion, I think that they just don't want their people having more power than the government, because a cryptocurrency, it sort of gives the people more power as compared to a normal fiat currency like the US dollar, for example. If people started using cryptocurrencies and the cryptocurrencies that they used were decentralized, the government can't as easily control what people are allowed and are not allowed to do with their money. But that's just my opinion, and I think that's sort of what's happening over in China, and they don't want their people to have too much power. And just in terms of Bitcoin specifically, Chinese mining pools control more than 60% of the Bitcoin network's collective hash rate. And not only does China manufacture most of the world's mining equipment, but massive mining farms are located there to take advantage of their extremely cheap electric prices. And just to give you guys an idea here, after China, which takes up about 65% of the hashing power, the US is next in line with only 7%. So if you took out such a big player like China, and if they had no motivation to mine anymore, for example, if cryptocurrency was outright banned as a whole and you couldn't hold it anymore, we would see drastic effects in Bitcoin, and that would trickle over to other cryptocurrencies as well. Now, I think it's hard to predict what would actually happen, because if you took out 65% of the hashing power, we would have a lot less mining happening, which would mean it would take a lot more power from other countries, and a lot more countries would have to start mining. Not only would that take a lot of resources, but a lot more time. And so the available Bitcoin, for example, because there's only a limited supply, it may create a lot more demand because there's not being a constant supply of more mined Bitcoin. But on the other hand, it's also easy to see a coin like Bitcoin dropping because such a big player is out of the game. And that's what we're seeing right now, because it's pretty clear that China wants to get rid of cryptocurrencies altogether. And I wouldn't be surprised if they made it illegal for people in China to even hold cryptocurrencies. And the reason why there's so many miners over in China is because of the electricity cost. And this is the most important factor when you want to become profitable in the mining operation. And as mining difficulty increases, which it does every time Bitcoin halves, the least efficient miners are going to be forced to shut down first, leaving China as the only one that's up and running. And they're going to be the one that outlasts every other country because their electricity costs are so cheap. So we went over why Bitcoin is being affected by this Chinese ban of cryptocurrencies, but there's also some other things to consider that may be affecting the price, and this could just be a coincidence. And we're finally starting to see the backlash of all these insane gains that we've been seeing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of other altcoins. So here's a couple charts I want to show you guys. And you can see this first one here is a chart for Bitcoin and Ethereum during the previous cryptocurrency crash, and that was as of 2017 to 2018. So obviously you can see both Ethereum and Bitcoin shot up like crazy, and then they had a massive dump afterwards where people started selling out because they thought it was going to go all the way down to zero. And here you can actually compare both the charts from the last crypto crash to the current one that's seeming to happen right now. As you can see, they pretty much line up identically, and I think a lot of people expected this, maybe not so soon, but with the news of China banning cryptocurrencies from financial institutions, it's really obvious that this was the tipping point, and this is what's going to cause these cryptocurrencies to pull back, possibly for an extended period of time. Now, like I've said before, I don't think you guys should be holding Ethereum, Bitcoin, or any other cryptocurrencies if you're not comfortable with these 20, 30, 40% drops. Because we've seen it before, like you can see from these charts, and it's almost bound to repeat itself because cryptocurrency really does repeat itself time after time, and we see very similar patterns that we've seen in the past. So if you guys can't handle these big drops and these big price reductions, I don't think you guys should really be investing in cryptocurrencies. Personally, I think these big pullbacks are a time to bring down your average share cost and really load up, because once these prices start going back up, and once we see new all-time highs, that's when you're really going to make it big and you're going to see these huge increases in your portfolio. So for those of you who made it this far into the video, I want to hear what your guys' favorite cryptocurrency is down in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to say Dogecoin or Ethereum, and that's totally fine. I just want to know where you guys are at and what your guys' favorite cryptocurrencies are at this current point in time. Also, let me know if you guys are still buying all these different coins and still adding to your portfolio despite these drastic pullbacks that we're seeing. Also, if you guys haven't signed up for Webull, make sure you guys sign up using the link in the description. And when you sign up and deposit $100, you'll actually get 2 free stocks. Not only that, but you can also trade cryptocurrency on Webull now. And so that's a big benefit to the Webull trading platform. And so if you guys do sign up, I really appreciate anybody who signs up using that link. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like because it really does help out the channel. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the next one. Bye.